Good evening, seekers. Tonight, we journey to a place tucked away from the frantic pace of the world, where the pines reach high and the waters run deep. Juniper Lake, a community of quiet lives where the only gossip is the rustle of leaves and the biggest news is the changing seasons. Among them was Elara Vance, an artist who found solace not in people, but in the raw beauty of the wilderness. Her cabin, nestled by the water's edge, was her sanctuary, her easel a window to the whispering woods. But one autumn night, the quiet stillness of Juniper Lake was fractured. Elara, drawing by her window, saw it. A light, not a plane, not a star, an impossibly silent, brilliant orb, pulsing with an inner white fire, hovering directly over the darkest expanse of the lake. Then, nothing. Silence. And a sudden, chilling jolt as she found herself standing by her open front door, a thermos of cold tea in her hand. Hours had simply vanished. A chasm in time. The night's memory was a broken mirror, reflecting only fragmented, unsettling images. The first glimmer of an enigma had descended upon Juniper Lake. Part 2. Shared whispers and growing fear. The weeks that followed were laced with an unsettling quiet. Elara told no one of her missing hours, dismissing it as a waking dream. But the threads of strangeness began to weave themselves through the community. Old Man Hemlock, who swore by his routine, found his morning chores done by an unknown hand, with hours gone from his memory. Sarah, the baker, kept waking up to find intricate, geometric patterns inexplicably etched into the frost on her window pane. Whispers, hesitant and afraid, began to circulate. Tales of strange lights, fragmented dreams of being somewhere else, unidentifiable sounds in the dead of night. The local sheriff, a pragmatic man named Miller, dismissed them as lake fever or too much moonshine. He had seen it all, or so he thought. But for Elara, a different kind of connection was forming. A subtle resonance. When she met others who had experienced the missing time, like the quiet fisherman Silas, there was an unspoken understanding, a knowing look, a shared tremor in the soul that went beyond words. Fear, once a solitary echo, began to resonate collectively, binding them in a silent, growing dread. Part 3. The Echo's Resonance. Elara's art began to shift. Her sketches, once of serene landscapes, now filled with the unsettling, precise geometric patterns she felt were hidden in her missing memories. She found herself drawn to places around the lake where these patterns seemed to echo on moss-covered stones, in the frost of a spiderweb, etched into the bark of ancient trees. They were everywhere, unseen until now. The missing time events for Elara and a small growing group of others became more frequent, more profound. Hours stretched into entire nights, fragmented dreams coalesced into shared visions. They saw glimpses of vast, sterile environments, bathed in soft, clinical light, faceless presences, a feeling not of malice, but of overwhelming, detached observation. It was during one such shared vision that Elara first noticed it, a faint, almost imperceptible mark, a small, glowing geometric symbol, identical to the ones she had been sketching, etched under the skin of her forearm. Others, in their shared memory, revealed similar marks, a silent brand. The echo had found its resonance, binding them to a truth they couldn't articulate, a purpose they couldn't comprehend. Part 4. The Collective Truth. One crisp winter night, the veil between worlds thinned completely. It wasn't just Elara and her small group. It was the entire community, a collective missing night. From every cabin, every house, people gazed at the impossibly bright light over the lake. And then, for hours, consciousness simply ceased. But this time, when they returned, the emptiness was filled with echoes of a shared vision. A flood of cosmic data, pure light and information, imprinted directly onto their minds. They remembered being shown vast, complex star charts that scrolled through untold galaxies. They saw intricate biological schematics of life forms beyond imagination, not as lectures, but as direct, empathic understanding. They saw humanity, not as a solitary species, but as part of a larger, evolving tapestry. They weren't being abducted for experimentation, but for observation, for education, for a fleeting, overwhelming moment. They understood a truth about the universe, about humanity's place in it, that dwarfed all fear. The abductors were not malicious, but profound. The purpose was not harm, but preparation. Part 5. The Unseen Watchers. The sun rose over Juniper Lake the next morning, as it always did. The missing night was over. For most, life returned to its predictable rhythm, the memory of the night, a jumbled, unsettling dream. But for Elara and the others, those touched deepest by the echo, everything had changed. They carried fragments of that cosmic knowledge, a quiet understanding that altered their perception of reality. The fear had receded, replaced by a profound, if unsettling, sense of connection. They were no longer simply residents of Juniper Lake. They were, in a way, pupils of the stars. They understood that the abductors weren't hostile invaders, but ancient, silent observers, guiding humanity's nascent consciousness in ways too subtle to comprehend. The abductions weren't an attack, but moments of profound, unsettling education. And now, when Elara looked at the deep waters of Juniper Lake, or at the vast, star-filled sky, she no longer saw just beauty or mystery. She saw a canvas woven with purpose, humming with an unseen presence, a long echo of a secret purpose, still watching, still waiting. The truth was not just out there, it was within them, a quiet, growing hum,